Hey, Nathan,
Yes, Blake.
what are you going to do when it comes crashing down inside?
I'll probably see a therapist or a doctor or something. Are we talking the metaphysical or the physical?
Nathan, what are you going to do when you got to take a stand? It don't help to hide.
I mean, sometimes it does. I mean, what if you're ill-equipped for the fight?
Well, you hurt my friends and you hurt my pride, Nathan.
If this is about the Christmas party, I said I'm sorry.
I'm doing Hulk Hogan. It's Hulk Hogan's on this.
Oh, of course you are. Yeah, Hulk Hogan's in this episode, isn't he? Hey, Blake, I've got an intro for you. No. Before we get into that, I've got an intro for you. Blake, is it a good idea if we do these episodes out of order?
You son of a bitch.
What, we're going to go through without mentioning it? Now let's roll the music. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Going in Raw. It's the February 22nd edition from 1993 from the Manhattan Center. I'm Blake, wrestling superfan and all-round good boy. And
I'm Nathan. Yep, I'm Nathan. I like some wrestling and I'm a very naughty boy. Before we get into the meat of it this week, as I mentioned in the intro, we've accidentally recorded this out of sequence. We're sorry about that. So we might not reference the previous episode of Raw, but that's fine because neither did any of the commentary team in this episode until about 35 minutes into the actual episode, which is why we noticed a bit too late to start again.
And that's what you realised, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to mention this is the first episode we're recording virtually. So we're doing this online. We're just sort of getting some practicing because we'll probably have to do this a little bit more often than meeting up in the physical and recording it like we usually do. So I'm sorry if there's a little bit of I guess if there's a little bit of interruption going on, but we'll do our best to sort of let the other talk and then jump in.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I was practicing it then. Did you notice? I was doing really well.
Yes, I think we're both already failing a little bit, but we'll keep doing our best.
Normally I jump down your throat every 3 seconds with a funny thing I've thought of.
It's going to be a lot more difficult to do that now when I'm starting off with okay, yes, and then have that. Oh, right, sorry, yeah, no, you go ahead.
Okay, so Rob Bartlett intro. He's back. He's here.
And he's less mustachioed now.
Yeah, you mentioned this. I can't remember. Did he have a mustache?
I swear he had a mustache. He might have lost it, in the episode we missed.
What, like a mustache versus mustache match or something?
Yeah, rather than a hair match. Facial hair match.
He was stuck in a fire or something. Like Bam Bam Bigelow came in and set fire to his dressing room. He doesn't really see much of any weight or any consequence or any use. He's looking fat.
No, he doesn't. It could be the lack of facial hair.
Do you think that's what it is? It makes his face look chubbier.
Maybe.
So,
I mean, it's like...
Or he does not look well. He doesn't look long for this earth at this point.
Maybe he's just tired of it.
He's just sick. I'm sick of it. Oh, all this bullshit.
And I'm going to say this, for the most part, Rob Bartlett is not only bearable, but he's actually quite decent today on commentary.
Apart from one very noticeable segment that we'll talk about later, that I know.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay, so he gives us a bit of an intro. He lets us know where we're coming from. It lets us know roughly what's going to be happening later in the show. We've got a Hulk Hogan interview. That's basically the main...
Not just one, though.
Oh, no. No, Nathan. The Hulkamaniacs, they don't just demand one. They want 2 Hulk Hogan interviews.
I can only imagine they spent a lot of money to get Hulk Hogan back because they milk the fuck out of the fact that he's in this episode.
Well, just before we get started, I mean, we were discussing this obviously while we were watching the episode, and he just mentioned in one of the interviews, I'm sure we'll have a bit more of a conversation about it later, that he has been gone for a year. So it's like a big crowning return for him. And it kind of brings it back to, 2 weeks ago when Brutus the Barber Beefcake came back as well for after 3 years.
Yeah.
So do you think it's a case of he was done with it, Hulk Hogan, he wasn't going to come back, and then Barber came back and he was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of reset my character and reset myself and then rejoin? Or did Mr. Nanny just not go well?
But that's the thing I'm thinking, because it was about that time, sort of the early 90s, that he went into his movie career, wasn't it? I'm just sort of looking up now. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, as far as I can see, I don't know, because like I've got here 93 to 94 return to NJPW. So I don't think he stays in. Yeah, I don't think he stays in the WWF for long, unfortunately.
Spoilers.
Sorry for that.
Oh, we can mark up 2 weeks now on the Ric Flair calendar as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, unless he turned up in the other one, but we'll call it 3 weeks.
We can mark 1 week in the Ric Flair not showing up calendar.
Yeah.
So let's get on with it. So the intro kicks off as normal.
Yeah.
It's quite a slick production by now. Like, it's going pretty well. There's sirens. There's Macho Man and Vince. They start off doing the ringside introductions.
Ooh, I don't mean to interrupt you, Blake. Actually, I do. Fuck you. I have a reason for his absence of leave.
Oh, go on.
It was steroids.
Ah, okay. We'll talk about this because I had a few theories later on what it might have been.
Oh, sorry, I spoiled it again for you.
No, it's fine. No, because steroids didn't even cross my mind, to be honest. Mine were a lot darker and scarier, my ideas of why he might have been gone.
I will say this is going by what Wikipedia is saying, so could be wrong, might not be.
Right. Macho Man and Vince start off by ringside, and they give us a bit of an intro. Rob kind of just wanders in from the left.
He does. He looks so lost.
And they bring attention to his like shite t-shirt he's wearing. Did you?
Yeah.
This he's basically sort of standing with his jacket open, kind of pushing his belly out a little bit so that you're really focused on the t-shirt he's wearing. And it's kind of like it looked like a cactus in a cowboy hat on a car with gun.
Yeah, it's like some automotive company. And I've got to say, like, we've mentioned before about how, like, Vince and Macho just kind of ignored and occasionally just gave him some shit. It really feels like they're bullying him now. It's like, go on, show off your belly, you fat prick.
Put on the goddamn shirt. I don't know if you caught this as well. They give up on the slogan halfway through.
Yes, they do.
They're standing having a bit of a quick chat, and as the kind of action's wrapping up and they're kind of coming towards the first match of the evening, I think Vince starts the uncut, and no one picks up on it.
and this is a recurring thing throughout the night. I think it gets said wrong at least 2 more times.
I think, to be fair, from what I can remember, they get it wrong more often than they get it right. I'm just starting to think I remembered it wrong. Like, I'm wrong. Like, I kind of have to learn, like, 1984 style doublethink to be all right with the slogan.
So I gotta say, Macho Man looks fucking thrilled to be here today. He's doing a happy little shimmy. He's talking a lot of love for Hulk Hogan. He couldn't be anywhere better for him today.
Like, he is really putting out how excited he is to see Hulk Hogan. Like, it's all the chat at the minute is very Hulk Hogan centric.
Which, again, they probably spent a lot of money trying to get him back.
Yeah, I guess, it's like a big thing for them as well. I imagine that popped the ratings, like, massively for the show evening. I mean, I imagine that was their big draw. I'm presuming at the end of last week's episode, there would have been like a little primer, basically advertising next week Hulk Hogan, so that might be the case.
We may never know.
We'll never know. We're moving now into our first match of the evening. It's 2 characters we haven't seen before, 2 new performers for us. There's a guy, he's Bam Bam Bigelow. He's taking Scott Taylor. Now,
Fireman Bam Bam Bigelow and the mullet Scott Taylor.
Now, the thing is, Scott Taylor is Scotty Too High from Too Cool,
who is someone I absolutely love from the Attitude Era.
Now, did you know that was him? Because I had to do a quick
I did not.
To make sure it was the same guy.
I absolutely did not know that was Scotty Too Hearty was old Scott Taylor.
Oh, it was mad, wasn't it? Mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. And I said to you before we started, obviously, Bam Bam Bigelow, he has like a big fire tattoo on the back of his head. He wears like black gear with like flames on it. Scott Taylor, obviously, now in real life is a fireman. I started to think, is this where it all started for him? He fought Bam Bam Bigelow and thought, fuck, I'm going to have to find out some sort of way of fighting fire.
Do you think one day soon, like, Scotty Too Hot is just going to burst through the door of whoever Bam Bam Bigelow really is with a giant fire? He's like, I'm getting you now, Bam Bam. Just squirts him down.
Like, covers him in foam.
This is for 22nd of February 1993.
Or like he throws like a fire blanket over him and just like punches him in the fucking face. So,
well, Scott Taylor, if you're listening, do let us know if you're hunting down Bam Bam for us.
So I was quite excited. I was quite looking forward to this. I've never seen Bam Bam Bigelow wrestle before, but I know he's a big deal. Like, he was a big, big, big thing. He's included a lot in the secret characters on a lot of WWE 2K games. So I knew he was supposed to be a big deal back in the day. And I also remember there was a chapter of somebody's book where they, like, basically went to great lengths to tell you that he was a horrible, horrible person.
Oh, dear.
I mean, Bob Holly. I think Bob Holly's book might have had a whole chapter veiled. I think it was called, like, The Man with the Fire Tattoo. It was all about, it sounds like a fucking one of them the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo books.
Eric Larson, was that his name?
It's like an Eric Larson novel, doesn't it? The Man with the Fire Tattoo. And he went out of his way to tell you what a horrible prick he was.
That's coming from Bob Holly as well, so he must have been a bastard.
So yeah, that was quite exciting. So they start off as like a general sort of big man action. Scott Taylor's trying to run into him, and Bam Bam just shaking, just taking the hit and falling over. They lock up. There's a big lift that Scott Taylor slips out of and then as they're coming off the ropes again, Bam Bam Bigelow hits him with a huge shoulder tackle. He sort of plays to the crowd. There's like a flying clothesline from Scott Taylor. He comes off the rope, jumps. Bam Bam doesn't move. He just takes the impact, kind of staggers a little bit. It's kind of like the Yokozuna match that we saw, kind of like very big, typical old school big man action.
And like Scott Taylor is doing an incredible job of like selling the sort of the David versus Goliath style action they're trying to get across here. Like, Scott Taylor's putting his all into it, bless him, and it really comes across that he's giving it his all.
Then, in response to that flying tackle I just described, Bam Bam Bigelow runs through him. Like, he comes off...
Yeah, just like a fucking train.
It was incredible. There's a stunning suplex. This was quite scary for me. Like, he picked Scott Taylor up, had him basically, like, upside down in a suplex position, and just held him there for what seemed ages. He was up there for so long. I was like, the blood's going to rush to his head. It's going to feel dizzy. Don't do that.
Poor Scotty.
The suplex gets reversed, so he kind of drops out the back, and then Scott Taylor comes off the ropes, jumps onto Bam Bam's shoulders from behind, so he's sitting on the shoulders and starts laying shots in on, like, literally on the fire tattoo bit of his head. So I'm assuming even at this point he hates fire.
Also, that's his boss weak point.
Yeah, like in Zelda, we got like the big eye or whatever. For Bam Bam, it's the fire tattoo. So Bam Bam decides to do an electric chair drop. He just kicks his legs out, falls backwards, and there's a huge slam.
He fucking clatters him. It's like, brilliant.
The volume is insane. I think because Bam Bam's quite a big guy, you know.
He is, yeah.
You know, it's kind of to be expected. He can make a big noise, but the impact of them both falling. Oh, it's like a cannon going off. It was brilliant. And there's a lot of that tonight. The sound design in the ring is really good tonight.
Yeah, they get a lot of the actual, like you say, the volume that's coming from the ring.
So I just realised I've not written down the finish of this.
I know who wins. Okay, there you go. I've got to say, before you get into the finisher, this is where the catchphrase gets messed up again, because I believe they say uncut, uncensored. But, like, I think Vince McMahon's, like, the final one to speak, so he's like, what the fuck are you two doing? He just goes, like, uncensored?
Is that how it goes? I only learned the first third. I only do the first third. Why have I got to learn the rest of it? So there's a kind of a chin hold, a reverse chin lock, so a rest hold. So yeah, like you say, McMahon talks a little bit about Hogan. He talks a little bit about the catchphrase. In the ring, Bam Bam Bigelow's mouthing off to the ref, and he's fully in control now. He's taken control completely. He does what I've described as an underhook backbreaker. He hooks both of Scotty's arms. I was going to call him Scotty because we know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. This one looked like fucking... I don't want to say messy, but it looked rough on Scotty, bless him.
It looked stiff, didn't it? Like, and he's kind of hooked both the arms. He's kind of lifted him up like over one shoulder and then dropped him into a backbreaker, which looked awesome. And then I couldn't believe this. Bam Bam Bigelow, big man gonna fly. He climbs up to the top rope. And even the commentary are putting over, like, this is quite a distance. Like, he's quite a way away.
Yeah.
And
he didn't make it, did he?
Well, no, because I think his move he was going for was a diving headbutt.
That's the thing. It didn't look like his head reached him either. Like, maybe he caught him with his wrist or something. But it was like more than half the ring.
I mean, it was quite impressive. Even if he missed it, the way the camera angle was set up, you couldn't see him miss. So Scott.
Oh yeah, it was an impressive jump.
And then he gets back up and decides, you know what, maybe I fucked that up. I'm going to do it again. So he runs over to the other side, gets on that other apron, on the other turnbuckle, and he goes up again, another diving headbutt. And
this one does connect.
the thing is, I remember reading somewhere that the diving headbutt is a stupid move to do because you're landing on your face and head. So, like, if you're going to do one, fair enough. But doing two in that quick succession, you're going to give yourself a dizzy head.
Especially when you got that much weight behind you.
Like, I'm imagining, like, you know, like a pool dart. Like, he's got some fucking, like, a lawn dart. He's got some velocity behind him. So he connects with a diving headbutt. 3 count. Bam Bam wins. Good show. Good start. Good start.
Yeah, it's a solid start. It didn't stick around too long. It was, like I say, good, like, David and Goliath action. There were a few moves, like with that first jump, I feel like Bam Bam was maybe stretching himself a bit beyond what he is capable of, because, I mean, like, I'd expect Eddie Guerrero to make that sort of jump, but not necessarily a man of Bam Bam's stature.
I think it's brave of him to attempt it. I mean, like I said, I've never seen him wrestle before, so I don't know if that's like his signature or his finishing move, whatever. I assumed when he started getting into that underhook backbreaker position, that would be like his finishing move. Big man, big slam, that would be it. But yeah, so it was quite interesting to see him, like a man that size, come off the top rope. Like, it's brave of him, definitely.
Oh yeah, no, it looked great, even if it didn't, like, completely connect the way I feel like it should have.
I mean, you were saying that you were surprised that they went that way, that Bam Bam won. Because, I mean, the thing is, with the match, it's not short enough to be a squash match, but it's long enough to be an actual match.
Yeah, if it was a good introduction. Like, I don't think there was a real story behind it.
No.
It was just, here are two wrestlers, let's pit them against each other. But, you know, like I say, like, Scott Taylor did a great job of, like, putting that match through. I just felt like with the, like I say, the David and Goliath thing they were going for during the match of just Bam Bam completely no-selling half of Scott Taylor's moves in the beginning. Like, I feel like it would have been a more satisfying end if Scott Taylor did pull it off. But, I mean, I'm still fine with how it ended.
I think the thing is, Scott Taylor at this point probably would be like one of those guys that you see that's on the show one week and then never again. So just a guy to come in for Bam Bam to beat, basically.
Yeah.
I think the only reason it's made an impression with me and you is because we now know it's Scotty Too High.
Oh, yeah, no, because, like, as soon as they said Scott Taylor, I was like, fucking who?
Who? But if it came out like graffiti pants...
Yeah, and he did the worm, then we're like, oh my god, it's Scotty Too Hotty, about 10 years too early, but whatever.
We then go from that match, very good match, to a Vince McMahon interview segment where he's interviewing Hulk Hogan backstage.
Yes, and yeah, this one is, I guess, pre-taped. I would certainly assume that Vince McMahon's not running back and forth.
The thing is as well, at this point in time, Hulk Hogan's wearing an Ico Pro like workout outfit.
Yeah.
And he'd have to swap into his like red and yellow chickeny Hulkamania gear.
Yeah, but it's easy for him to change clothes. He just rips them off.
The thing is, I don't know if you're going to get this reference. This is quite a deep dive sort of Simpsons reference. But do you remember in The Simpsons where there's that film critic and he interviews like Rainier Wolfcastle or whatever?
Yes, I think I do.
Guy with like the black hair.
Yeah. From the show The Critic. Yeah.
Yeah. So the set that they're on looks like the Simpsons film critic set from that episode of The Simpsons.
It does kind of, yeah. They're just sort of in like a black void.
I mean, there's like
chairs.
There's like some pictures of Hulk Hogan with all his muscles popping out. I imagine
Yeah.
But I mean, like before he left because of the steroids.
Yeah. Well, no, there's no like tabloidy like snapshot of him like being loaded into a police car or anything.
And this was strange because it was a very sort of serious, very, very soft-spoken Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I found it quite saccharine, to be honest. Like, he always does this thing about the Hulkamaniacs and, you know, Hulkamania and, like, catchphrases and stuff like that. But this one, now, I guess now I know why, because he's been off because of the steroid scandal for a year. But at the time, I found it really saccharine, like really, really, really disingenuous. He was like, oh, and the things that I've learned. And he's talking about, like, his fans, and before they were his fans, but since he's been away and he's seen them still keep training and keep working hard and keep saying their prayers, they're now his heroes. It's now...
Like every modern like celebrity apology video, he never really addresses the situation, and it's more just, oh no, I'm a changed person now. I love the people who are still my fans. Everyone who deserted me because of the whole steroids thing, fuck them. I don't like them anymore.
I don't know if you noticed this, but like he had his cross. I assume it's a Christian cross outside his t-shirt. Later on, I noticed no cross. So he must have made a conscious decision to put that on to do that promo backstage and give that whole, oh yeah, you know, I mean, and he was talking about like, oh, since he was like 60s, 70s, 80s, he's made mistakes. His dad used to tell him, don't do as I do as I say. And he's like, oh, I should have listened to that. And then me and you were just basically sitting there like, what is it gonna, like, what's happened?
Yeah, is that his confession that his dad also did steroids?
And like, I get this impression he's hyping up a big return, and then he kind of just changes tack slightly. This is when me and you realise there might have been a bit more to it than it's just like he's had a year off to do movies. He starts talking about a phrase I don't think I've ever heard before. He calls it tabloid terrorism.
Yeah, I got a little bit uncomfortable when he started talking about this. It's like, oh yeah, the media, they'll run with any story, whether or not it's true or false.
And the thing is, he's trying to make out like, oh, okay, well, look, they can say anything they like about you, and you, even if it's not true, then your reputation's damaged anyway. And then
Which,
I almost
granted,
an asterisk had to come after that of, even though everything they said about me was true.
yes.
Make out like that they've just made it up by kind of the way he uses words, but and I've written down here, I've got 2 jokes for you here about the scandal I thought it might be. I've written down, has he had a sex tape leaked even this far back? So whatever. And then this one's a bit more dodge, and this one's a bit, so I do apologise in advance for this joke.
I'll bleep it if it's bad.
I've written down, was his daughter dating a black guy this early?
Okay, no, that's
bad, and now he's in trouble for saying something bad.
No, that's fine, because I wrote something similar but not as good, which was just where was this sort of apology video when he did a racism recently. I did have one other thing to say, like, apart from the fact that this comes across as very preachy, and it comes back later in the other interview that he does, but he says this phrase often today, which is like, make sure to say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Yeah, that's like his thing.
But the other thing is that he talks about like how he's happy to see so much positive work. Like he's now dedicated to positive work ethics. And I'm just thinking, like, what you mean, like all the wrestling unions you crushed? Because that's something I know about Hulk Hogan, Mr. Anti-Union bastard.
I think the thing is, it's basically like he obviously couldn't get his 2 cents out in the paper, so I think he's just had to come back now just to get his side of the story over. Like it's very revisionist to history, isn't it?
Yeah, this is his version of Twitter.
Like he has his 3 things. He's like, 3 or 4 commandments or whatever that he has, and like you say, they're like, eat your vitamins. I was gonna say your vitamins, eat your prayers. And then,
it was the 5 commandments he had. He had train every day, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, believe in yourself, but most importantly, believe in the Hulkster. Not the tabloids, the Hulkster.
I am your god now, children.
That comes back later, but even stronger.
Don't covet false idols. I am the god now.
You see, this cross, I'm wearing that ironically. It's me on this cross, if the cross was made out of, like, used steroid needles.
My next film role, I'm actually playing Jesus Christ. It's a Mel Gibson production. It's Passion of the Christ, and me, Hulk Hogan, is going to be in that, playing Jesus Christ.
And I hope you're all there with the passion of the Hulkamaniacs.
To get me down off that cross and beat the heel of Judas Iscariot, who was a heel. Okay, so moving on from Hulk Hogan is the new Messiah. We have tag match. It's the Beverly Brothers and Shawn Michaels versus the Nasty Boys and Tatanka.
Yeah.
Now, I think some of the shine has come off of young Shawn Michaels here, because when he comes out, the crowd are into it. Because basically how it works is the Beverly Brothers come out, and then they go... and their tag team partner is Shawn Michaels. He comes out, the crowd's okay, they're cheering, they're happy, they're having a good time. Shawn gets in the ring, he takes off his comically oversized earrings, because I was like, there's no way he's going to wrestle in them. It looks like Pat Butcher. Nasty Boys come out, and people seem to really love the Nasty Boys. These guys have like a graffiti trench coats, which look really cool, with the Nasty Boys spray painted on the back. And Tatanka, who is our Native American wrestler, that we, after this match, I think we both turned to each other and went, I love Tatanka.
Tatanka is great.
And as soon as the Tatanka music hit, the roof came off the building. People went crazy. Like, already they were hyped for the Nasty Boys, but Tatanka, oh man. Like, people seem to really be getting behind him. And we noticed this the first time we saw him wrestle as well, that he was quite over. People seem to enjoy seeing the Native American wrestler wrestle. The thing that made me laugh as Tatanka was coming out, I think one of the cameramen was a bit too close to him, because when he started running, I think he like bumped the camera, so it cut to an angle, tipping over, and it cut back again. which gave me a chuckle.
Oh yeah, he came out of them curtains like fast as lightning as well.
Those cats were as fast as lightning. He wasn't hanging around. He wanted to fight the sexy boy Shawn Michaels. It starts off as a big pull-apart brawl. Like all 6 men are just laying shots into each other. There's a really cool section where the ring clears a little bit, and Tatanka manages to double chop the brothers Beverly. He throws Shawn Michaels up and over the top rope. This is before the match has even started.
I should also add as well, like, yeah, before the match even starts, you've got all 6 men in the ring, like, beating each other up. I think it was Rob Bartlett.
Genuinely thought he would say beating each other off.
Rob Bartlett, like, just turns to Vince McMahon and says, "Surely that's illegal, Vince." And Vince just goes,
Is he?
He doesn't care about laws.
Is he really that evil? Yes. So they threw.
And
Go on.
sorry, we mentioned this while we were watching it, but Vince McMahon has like a softer voice than he normally does. He's not doing like the gravelly kind of thing. Like I don't know whether he's like preserving his voice for something. I don't know whether he's like had an injury or an illness or something, and he's just trying to like take it a bit easy. But he's not as gruff and gravelly as he tends to be. He feels very soft and light today.
His sort of foghorn, his normal foghorn ability to go welcome did seem a bit lackluster this evening.
Yeah.
So they throw Shawn.
Sorry, I'll let you continue.
That's okay. So Shawn Michaels goes up and over the top rope, and his sort of like knees and legs clatter into the announce table. In the ring, the Nasty Boys start taking on the brothers Beverly, and there's a move here called the pit stop, which is where one of the Nasty Boys puts his hands up in the air, Nathan, and then the other Nasty Boy gets the Beverly brothers a head each and just rubs them in his armpits because the Nasty Boys smell.
Because they're so nasty.
They've got a nasty stank about them. They've got a nasty donkey smell. Shawn Michaels comes running back in, and then he rolls back out. They're putting over that he's afraid of Tatanka. Like, Tatanka's tooled him up, basically. And now he's like, I can't beat this guy. He seems really nervous. There's some corner offense from the boys, the Nasty Boys. There's an Irish whip into the other corner. As they come in, they missed a splash. The Beverly brother tags in Shawn Michaels. He puts the Nasty Boy. I got kind of confused who was who. Like Beverly Brothers, I've just put down Beverly Brothers. Nasty Boys, I've put down Nasty Boys because I didn't quite catch individually what they were called.
All I know is one of the Nasty Boys is called Knobs.
Oh yes, no, I've written that down. Yes. Yeah, I know that much. And one of the Beverly,
because we see a lot of knobs later.
One of the Beverlys, I think, is called Blake, but that's also my name, so maybe I just got.
Yeah, you were talking about Shawn Michaels just a second ago. I know you're a big fan of Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, I always thought he's a great wrestler, but I think he like really showed what he's great at in this match, which is being absolutely fucking terrified of his opponent. He sells being like assaulted really well. Like, he takes punishment real good.
Like, and the thing is, like, he's kind of, I think he's either fully heel now or he's still in the transition to becoming heel. So they tag in Shawn Michaels. He kind of gets the Nasty Boy in a headlock, gives him a few punches off the ropes. There's another Irish whip, and he just like a really nice, sort of neat, almost like dancer-like spinning elbow. It's like step, bang. It's really, really, really nice. He then kind of like winds up Tatanka, like goes over to the corner and he's like giving it all that. So the referee's coming over to stop Tatanka getting in. It's classic sort of heel tag team work. Because while that's happening, the brothers Beverly over in the other corner, they're working over the Nasty Boy that's in that corner. He's a rather slow beat down. Like the pace when Shawn Michaels is in the ring is sporadic at best. It's really strange. He basically leans the Nasty Boy against the rope and just does a few punches. And it's basically like that's all he can really do. There's a face buster, so the Nasty Boy, he turns it around. He kind of gives him a face buster, gets a quick clothesline. Tatanka gets tagged in, and as soon as Tatanka gets tagged in, Shawn Michaels is crawling to his corner as quickly as possible. He tags in one of the Beverlys. So there's like he bounces one of the Beverlys off the ropes. Big chops, like House of Fire. This guy Tatanka has the crowd behind him. They're roaring, and the chops are so loud. I think both me.
They are incredible.
One of these chops, we both went, oh.
Because wasn't that he did like a 360 spin and then smack?
So he had the momentum of the turn as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna like make your blood blue like with this. Like
it sounded so good.
It was really, really, really good, and the crowd are going wild. Like he he gets one of the Beverleys in a wrist lock, and he tags a nasty boy in. He comes in and trades and takes over from like working the arm, and they work this arm for a little bit as like a shoulder.
Yeah, there was a lot like this long period where they were just exchanging doing arm bars on this one person.
So like they kind of rolling through to an arm bar, and then they kind of one of them will drop the elbow. They'll tag someone else in, and they'll fling him into the post and stuff with his elbow, and they're basically working one of the arms. There's a shoulder breaker from one of the nasty boys. There's a near fall. He tags into Tatanka, and it's quick on their end. It's quick. They're in and out so quickly. They continue the arm offense, and the crowd start to get a bit restless here. Because it's like, okay, working the arm, okay, come on, let's get going,
It does start to drag a bit in the middle, this match.
So they work into Shawn Michaels' corner. So Tatanka gets worked into the corner, and he fights off all three of them. Like, this is a really cool... I can see now why they slow it down a little bit, because, like, okay, now we're going to build up to Tatanka getting in Shawn Michaels' corner, and then the Beverleys are, like, laying in punches, so Shawn and Tatanka just kind of breaks out in the middle of the pack. And he, like, knocks over Shawn, he knocks over one of the Beverly brothers, knocks over the other one, and then everyone starts coming in. Like, it just...
I can see why Tatanka is so over, because he's made to look like an absolute fucking animal, and it's incredible.
So everyone comes in, and there's a bit of like brawling and trading off and stuff. And then he catches one of the Beverly Brothers' legs, and then gives him that another fucking huge chop. Another huge chop. He takes him into the corner, some tag team offense into Tanka's corner. They kind of go to break it all up. They kind of come back. Beverly gets back. Oh, what's that? Bev backdrops. Oh, yes, there's a really nasty backdrop. As all this chaos is going on, one of the Beverleys backdrops one of the nasties over the top rope.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I remember. I know what you're talking about.
Like stout, barrel-like gentlemen, the Nasty Boys. So with that kind of momentum going up and over, it was a bit worrying. Like he kind of crashed into the barrier a little bit. Like it was a pretty nasty spill, but no one was really hurt. Like the kind of
No. They didn't have to stop the match or anything.
Then he gets slingshotted into the steel steps, and then he kind of gets back up, gets slingshotted into the other steel steps.
Are they steel or are they wood at this point? 'Cause they look like wood.
They look like wood, but they've been described as steel. So I'm
okay.
Yeah. So one of the Beverleys in the ring, they tag in Shawn Michaels, and he just basically repeats what he was doing a minute ago. Like he basically puts him against the ropes. He kind of throws a few punches. You know, it's not really kind of he's not really getting out of the gates, Shawn Michaels, at the moment. And they keep teasing that kind of any minute now. Tatanka's going to break it. He's going to run in, and he's just going to run wild on Shawn Michaels. He's run wild on one of the Beverleys, but he's not had a chance to get at Shawn yet.
No.
The Beverleys do a double team like maneuver. Like this is like during the chaos. So like one of the nasties gets kind of like his neck and elbows are on the second rope. The Beverly grabs him by the legs, kind of stretches him out, face down. The other Beverly comes off the ropes, leapfrogs, and drops his butt in his back. Ba-bam! Makes like a big loud noise. Looks pretty cool.
Yep.
There's a near fall from Shawn Michaels. He tries to pin the nasty boy off top of that. Then there's a bit of flying from the top rope, another near fall, double team. And it kind of rolls into a bear hug by one of the Beveleys, which I think is called Blake. I think that's Blake Beverly.
And this one looks a bit silly because the nasty boy he's got is just flapping his arms all over the place. He looks like a marionette puppet.
I love a good bear hug, but yeah, he needs to cinch it up. I mean, I didn't get a good look at his hands, but I don't think he managed to get his hands linked behind him.
He's a big guy, is that nasty boy. Is this Knobs?
Yeah, I think it's still Knobs. I think Knobs basically been worked over in the ring basically since back when he got back dropped out. So all that time it's just Knobs in the ring, and everyone on the apron is kind of like gearing themselves up.
I don't know whether this is the bit that it happens, but there's a bit on commentary where I thought Rob Bartlett actually was a bit funny. Because I think Vince McMahon or Macho Man said something like, "Oh yeah, them nasty boys, they're tough," and Vince McMahon follows up with like, "Oh, and they're nasty," and Rob Bartlett just goes, "And they're boys."
Yeah, that's the split. Yeah. All those, yeah. No, I got a little chuckle out of that as well. Like, it's a very chaotic, quick match, as you can probably tell from my sporadic note-taking. I've got basically a big block of text on the screen that I'm trying to work my way through. So
yeah, a lot happens in this one.
Yeah, it's really good action. Like, Shawn Michaels gets tagged in. He Irish whips into the corner. He goes for, like, a running splash on, I think it's still Knobs in the ring. Knobs manages...
Oh, yeah, that Knobs... When Knobs got, flung into the corner, he, clattered into it. Like, he looked like he got whiplash from that. He flipped himself back so hard.
So Michaels misses the splash. Knobs gets out of the way, and he runs his own shoulder into the post. He then kind of gets up, and this is like what I've written down as a slow tag. Like, they're both down on the ground. The referee's doing the 10 count, and it's a very sort of slow, ponderous. Like, it's none of the fire of like, I've got to get my guy in, I'm injured. It's basically like he's just going,
Yeah, I'll do a little crawl.
And then even when he's rolling out, he's not rolling out with urgency. He kind of like rolls, kind of hangs on the apron for a second or two, and then just kind of like lets himself drop down. And it's just really, it just caught my eye really strangely in the corner.
Yeah.
There's like the Beverly goes for a backdrop, and Knobs basically just boots him in the chin. Like, bam!
He does.
Shawn Michaels gets tagged in, and just the same thing again. So like he goes for a backdrop, Knobs just boots him in the chin.
They're violent, these nasty boys.
Oh, they're nasty, boyish boys.
Brutish, ugly boys.
They kind of come off the ropes. There's a bit of a collision. So they're both gone down to the ground, and there's like a hot tag kind of comes building up. Knobs finally tags in Tatanka on Shawn Michaels, and the crowd know what's happening. They're like, holy shit, here we go. And he comes in.
Here comes the finale.
He's really good at this kind of house on fire. When he comes in, he has like an immediate presence and immediate speed and dynamism and dinosaurs. And he's just...
You're right.
Yes. He gets him in the corner, gives him a chop, Irish whips him to the other side, another chop, Irish whips him off the rope. There's like a big spinning, crazy power slam. Like, it was awesome. He gives him a near fall. Both the boys come running in to interfere. They kind of break the pinfall up. He does like a double chop spot again, like chops him down. Like the Beverly brothers are like, shit, we should have known that we were going to get chopped to get into that ring with Chop Master General Tatanka. He starts doing his little running dance that we love so much around Shawn Michaels. Like,
He does a little skip.
yeah, round and round the Mowbray bush. Gives him a chop. He goes up to the top rope. Michaels gets up, brain chop off the top rope. Oh,
Beautiful piece of work.
my word. It's a near fall. As chaos, everyone comes in again. The Nasty Boys come in. They clear the ring of the Beverly Brothers. And while it's always happening, all this chaos, the Beverly Brothers are getting thrown left, right, and centre. Shawn Michaels gets lifted into the Samoan drop, which is like Tatanka's finishing move. Gets a Samoan drop. And then, gets like he kind of pins him. And this is the weird thing. I can't quite figure out what happens here. While they're walking past, obviously Michaels kicks out the Samoan drop, and they've cleared the ring again of the Beverly Brothers. But as they're walking by, Shawn Michaels has Tatanka in a headlock thing. The ref isn't looking, but the Nasty Boys walk straight past him, letting Shawn Michaels have the advantage. And I was like,
Yeah, I can only assume they like missed their cue and were supposed to be in a different part and thought, we should get out the way.
now you have to have me describe this because this next bit's really cool, but I don't quite know what to call it. Like he kind of switches up the headlock, so now Tatanka's in control. He gets up on his shoulders, kind of rolls over the back of Shawn Michaels and rolls him through. A power bomb sitting position, pops his legs up, and gets the pin and wins.
Yeah, it was a beautiful reversal from Tatanka there.
Yeah. I've written down this great pace and energy from Tatanka. Shawn, I found, was quite underwhelming, to be honest.
That's the thing. I don't think he did much impressive in terms of actual wrestling, but as the punching bag of the match, I think he did incredible. Like, he really sold that he was scared and getting beaten up by these three awful boys.
Yeah, I think it was more the case of maybe I was, rather than looking at the character work he was doing, maybe I was looking too much at the wrestling he was doing. Because the character that he was obviously doing in the match, the story he was telling was very much, if anything, I don't want to be in there too much. The longer I'm in there, the longer they could probably get Tatanka in. And he's beaten me once, lest we forget. And Tatanka was undefeated in singles competition up until this point. So yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe I should look more at the character than the actual, he didn't do 17 flips and a cartwheel.
But he did come out as a sexy boy, so...
He did, with very sort of long dangly earrings, which I quite enjoyed. As a WrestleMania ad, we go into a commentary spot which cuts to Sean Mooney outside the arena, who is interviewing the fans ahead of the Hulk Hogan.
Like the Hulk Hogan, yeah, and he's just talking to the fans, not the plants, about how excited they are for Hulk Hogan to be returning.
Yeah, because there's a guy like in the back left, kind of in the middle, that kind of sticks out on the screen that gets an interview, and then he kind of like takes one or two steps forward, interviews another guy who's standing again, kind of across and away from people a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, Nathan. You're very cynical about this, but in that commentary spot before we go to Sean Mooney.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, we both pointed this out. There were a couple of guys getting very friendly behind Macho Man.
And I've often wondered, like, how close they let them get. Because they're leaning over and they're like sort of fist bumping Macho Man behind him, trying to get his attention. But there's a lad who's like a row back, but leaning quite close forward. So he's very prominent, and he has a very pink head behind him. Kind of has him in like a headlock.
And he's just sort of like trying to tongue his ear.
And like, there's a bit where he's like getting his friend in front's eyebrows and kind of like moving his friend's eyes around. So his eyes are rolling around. Very bizarre scenes in New York in the Manhattan Center. What's that?
And Macho Man just sort of turns around and he awkwardly gives them a thumbs up or something and then gets back to work.
It's kind of like, and then I don't think he turns around again. He's like, I'm not going to fucking turn around again.
Yeah, if I give them attention, they're going to do more of it.
When I turn around again, they're both going to have their shirts off. Like, this is what's happening behind me. So we go to an ad after the Sean Mooney interviewing the fans. We come back and it's Crush versus Terry Taylor. Taylor is already in the ring. Crush has his entrance music, the Hawaiian. It cuts to the toy ads. Okay. It comes back from the toy ads, and there's just like some pushing and shoving happening in the ring.
Yeah, because the match just started in the middle of the ad, apparently.
Yeah, and we missed the beginning. It's just some pushing and shoving.
And I also want to mention in the a couple of weeks ago we mentioned that there was a lovely ring lady who was put in to upset, I guess, Mr. Perfect because she's not perfect.
Oh, was Lex Luger? Was it the Narcissus? Was it not?
Oh, Narcissus, not Mr. Perfect. Yeah, sorry. And yeah, no, she doesn't look quite as happy to be here this time.
Well, we speculated that maybe someone had taped her appearance for her, and then she watched it when she got home and just heard how much they were all slagging her off.
Which is a shame because, she's not a conventionally attractive lady, but good on her for being out there.
I'll tell you what, she's got some body confidence about her, and that's the sexiest thing in a woman, isn't it? It's body confidence.
I would hope she does.
Yeah, so, but bless her, like you say, she looks less than thrilled to be there this evening.
Yeah, I think she sort of like had that moment of, they're talking shit about me again.
To be fair, though, they don't actually make fun of her this time.
No, I think they just sort of like give a gentle chuckle, oh, look who it is, and then get back to it.
Look who's back.
But yeah, no, the match starts mid-ad, as we say, but it doesn't like we missed anything, because they're just sort of like pushing each other about.
Yeah, it's quite of a juvenile start. It's like what you'd expect to see in like a primary school bathroom. Like, it's just, it's all going on.
Tell me, Blake, what do you see in primary school bathrooms?
Well, nothing now.
What do you have business in there?
Nothing now that I left primary school, but back when I was in primary school, that's where the fight used to happen. There's a long headlock from Crush to Terrific Terry Taylor. There's a chop from Terrific Taylor. There's an Irish whip from Crush. Taylor ducks the Irish whip, but then gets shoulder blocked. Crush lifts to see how quickly moved on from the primary school bathroom chat. Crush lifts Taylor above his head and just has him there for a good 10-15 seconds in like a gorilla press position. Just walks him around the ring a little bit, then just basically chucks him onto his the back of his neck and shoulders and back. He kind of picks him up. He gets dropped again. Terry Taylor slides out to kind of catch his breath after a big slam. He kind of comes in and he takes over momentum here. It's a few punches and chops. There's like a long reverse chin lock from Taylor to Crush. And I think Terry Taylor might be a time traveller. He might be the terrific time-travelling Terry Taylor.
Why'd you say that?
Difficult to say. Because he's taken a page out of Jericho's book here. When he's got him in the reverse chin lock, he's constantly going to the referee, ask him! Ask him!
Oh, yeah, no, I wrote it down. Ask him! Ask him!
Ask him!
I also wanted to mention that I think the commentary team's kind of shit in this bit. Like, they start talking about how apparently Bill Clinton is considering Hulk Hogan for the Council of Physical Fitness.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think they talked about that a few weeks ago, about how Clinton had become, had just taken office. And this leads into Rob Bartlett doing a terrible Arnold impression.
Yeah,
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I should say.
The link here, where was the link? I don't get why he went from talking about Bill Clinton to then pretending to be a ringing phone to then pretending to be an Austrian film star when they were talking about Bill Clinton and Hulk Hogan.
No, I can't.
Don't have anything to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And also, I've just noticed something. Why would you get a man who's embroiled in a steroid scandal to be the leader of your physical fitness group thing? We've got to pump these Hulkamaniacs full of steroids.
I have no idea. Maybe like the link was maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger was considered for the role or something, and then they decided, oh, Hulk Hogan maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, after that, then they just start getting political and start slagging off the Democrats.
And then they start saying, well, Hulk Hogan, because then they realise they're going to alienate half the audience if they say Hulk Hogan's a Democrat or a Republican. And
Which I doubt he is.
And they're like, oh, he's not a Republican, he's not a Democrat, he's just Hulk Hogan. That's all he is. Your new messiah. Love him.
Vote for him.
Maybe, I don't know if Arnold had any political ambitions this far back. I don't know. Maybe that might have been where they were coming from. Not a clue.
Maybe.
Crush fights up from the reverse chinlock, and Taylor takes him back down again. There's a near fall, and like Crush does like the typical big man break out of a pin, where he kind of like presses him.
Oh yeah, I thought that was incredible.
It's cool, right? I imagine.
I love that because I written down as TT. TT goes fucking flying.
The thing is, I guess like you're going to be giving a bit of an assistance if you're terrific time traveling Terry Taylor. But yeah, to have that, the impression is just like he just basically bench pressed you off. Is really cool.
It makes Crush look like a beast.
Yeah, and he is like the Hawaiian brute or something they keep calling him. There's a big man spots from Crush where he's just like hulking up. He's just no selling. There's kind of like a weak looking, dodgy looking atomic drop. But then the thing is, okay, so bad move, that atomic drop. We can both agree it looked pants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then what does Crush do? He gets me in a swinging backbreaker. Just to go, oh, okay, maybe I screwed that up, but check this out. It looked cool, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the thing, because like obviously that first one didn't go quite as planned, and then I saw him grabbing him sideways again. But is he doing it? Is he doing the exact same move again? But no, he turned it into something pretty incredible.
Then he tries to squash Terry Taylor's brain.
Yeah.
His hands on either side of Terry Taylor, and I imagine this is his finishing move, and he just starts pretending to push his hands together like he's going to try and get his eyeballs to pop out the front or something.
That's in a film, and I can't think of what film it is. I was going to make a hilarious reference to it.
Probably like
I swear there's
13th or something. Yeah, Friday the 13th.
I'm certain that happens on Friday the 13th. Yes,
it's one of the counsellors' boyfriend who looks like he's 40.
Oh yes, it was him, wasn't it? This was part 3.
Yeah, because it's in all 3D. Yeah. That's what it was. So like
Crush is like mucking about like he's Jason Voorhees. There we go.
He kind of hooks him under the arms as well, and he kind of like drops him onto his butt, and then just starts squeezing more. And Terry Taylor taps. He taps out. He basically
we just submits.
Give up. And again, this match wasn't so quick and so one-sided. It was a squash, but at the same time, not long enough to kind of where it's interesting.
Yeah, this just kind of felt like. A lot of what's happened, like during this edition of Monday Night Raw, feels very much like this is the Hulk Hogan episode. We just need something to fill the gaps in between the interviews.
We can't have him talking for 45 minutes, so we have some wrestling. The only story I can think of.
Sorry, you go ahead.
The only story I can think of that gets kind of told in the commentary of this match is apparently, you remember when Crush got attacked from behind by Doink and his lead arm?
Yeah.
That's leading to a match at WrestleMania 9.
Really? Doink's going to WrestleMania?
He's doing WrestleMania.
I can just imagine Doink pointing at the WrestleMania sign.
Like they do nowadays, the modern one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, playing. He's like pointing to the sign. And then Randy Orton comes out and he's like, oh, nah. The Viper's not having this.
And I should also mention this Crush and Terry Taylor match is the final full match we see today.
Yes. Oh, yes. Very.
But we'll talk about that later.
So now,
it's what we've all been waiting for, Hulkamaniacs.
It cuts to last week's show, the one that we totally watched in the right order. Brutus was having his match, if you remember, against IRS and Ted DiBiase. Well, Ted DiBiase is fighting, and IRS is interfering.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase gets his arms behind his back, and IRS smashes him in the face with a briefcase. Brutus Bar Beefcake just come back after 3 years out, getting his face reconstructed after having it smashed in by a parasailer's knees.
Or was it? No, it was his feet, wasn't it?
He kept saying knees. Someone kept saying knees and someone kept saying feet.
By the lower appendages of a parasailer.
I want to go back and do some more research on that and try and find out if the parasailer had any injuries as well. Like, when that collision happened, did they get like a foot shorter because their leg just got compressed?
You'd think you'd like break one of the many bones in the feet at least.
Right, at least. So that's quite horrific and quite a scary spot. Jimmy Hart to the rescue, though. He comes in and he saves Brutus the Beefcake from getting a second shot in the face from the briefcase. And next up is the Hulk interview. So it cuts to the ring. There is Vince McMahon in his trademark top and tails tuxedo. And Hulk Hogan comes out to Real American. It's still there on the network.
And he is looking so shiny.
He looks like a hot dog.
Fresh out of the brine.
Yeah, he's got like, that's a good word. He's got like red and yellow gear on. And he's coming out and he's giving it the whole cup in his ear and do. Crowd reception is strong.
Yeah.
Strong to great and perfect and what you're looking for. And he basically starts running through all his catchphrases. He just starts
pretty much
about he was at home watching television last week. He was watching Monday Night Raw, and he had a smile that went from ear to ear, brother. And his smile turned to a look of fear, brother, when he saw IRS slithering in, dude, and he's going to hit him with that briefcase. And when he hit Brutus the Beefcake,
he calls him the Briefcake. He gets like mixed up with briefcase and briefcake and beefcake.
So basically they're running through what happened last week, and Brutus the Briefcake barber cake comes out, and he basically says, "Oh, and now I'm going to bring my friend to the ring because I was shocked and appalled." And again, like, it's the whole thing about he's banging on about God. Like, he's like, oh, I want to thank two people.
Yeah.
I want to thank two people for what happened last week. Oh, first of all, I want to thank the big man upstairs. And I kept thinking, who at the minute was owning the company? I was like, Vince McMahon. I was like, is he talking about, like, Titan Towers? Like, who has the top floor in Titan Towers? Like, the helicopter guy that runs the helipad? Like, are we thanking him? And he's talking about, like, oh, he wants to thank the big man upstairs. That's God he wants to thank. But second, he wants to thank Jimmy Hart. And I don't know if I've heard a man thank two such diametrically opposed people speech before as Hulk Hogan thanking the literal master and ruler of the universe. No, not Sid Vicious. And Jimmy the mouth from the south, Hart. So he's done his bit. He's done a bit of God bothering, and he wants to call out Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Barber comes out, and he looks wrecked.
I will say as well, he doesn't just call him Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He calls him Brutus the Bionic Barber Beefcake, which I think is offensive after all that facial reconstruction surgery. No, he's not a robot. He's just got some metal in his head, and he's going to have difficulty getting through airports.
No, it's fine. Because the thing is, he was by his bedside, Nathan. He saw all the technology they were putting into him, like Inspector Gadget, like all the shaving foam and toothpaste. And
it was just by his bedside. We can rebuild him, brother.
We can make him stronger. Not like the $64 million man, because he hates the $1 million men, because that's Ted DiBiase in the IRS.
The $1 billion beefcake.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fine. He saw they gave Brutus the Barber Beefcake bionic motion detector eyes, so he knows what's up. And he looks like the beefcake comes out, and he looks beaten up to fuck. Like, he looks
like his nose was genuinely broken. He's got the black eyes. Like, I don't know if it's just good makeup or if like he did actually receive some damage from that briefcase, or maybe he like does have some residual like sensitivity from the surgery.
Because he looks swollen as well. Around his eyes, looks kind of puffed up and swollen as well.
Yeah,
which looks proper legit. So I don't know whether they caught him a bit too hard or.
And to play into our idea of Hulk Hogan's kind of joined a cult sometime in this year he's been off. Obviously, you said that his crucifix necklace is missing now.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you know, Brutus the Bionicle Barber Beefcake is wearing one.
He's initiated him into the cult.
He's initiated him.
He's like, put the cross.
And we're not. I'll just interject here. We're not saying Christianity is a cult. We're saying Hulk Hogan is a cult leader. There are two different things.
The thing is, like, okay, he bangs on about God and Christianity all the time without actually saying Christianity and God. So he doesn't want to alienate people. So Hulk Hogan is amazing at being such a broad icon, if you know what I mean. Like before, when they said he wasn't a Democrat, he's not a Republican, he's just Hulk Hogan. They're really good.
He's a marketing machine.
Right? They're really good at getting him as like, he is all things to all people, like Jesus Christ.
Well, he is a real American. They're trying to put him over as a unifying Ubermensch. I don't mean that in the term it was originally used. Yeah.
Although Hulk is blonde.
I don't really pay attention to his eyes because there's too much else about him wrong to look at.
And there's kind of and the thing is, like, when Brutus gets into the ring, this is something I've noticed about his old style promos. McMahon has to hold the microphone for everybody. He doesn't give the microphone to anyone. So he has to kind of like point it at Hulk, and then point it back at himself, and then point it at Hulk. And there was a section where I just stopped paying attention to what Hulk was saying, and I just started looking at Vince McMahon, because when he's talking about Brutus the Barber Beefcake getting smashed in the face with a briefcase, Vince McMahon's face, like his eyes widen, he looks really serious and shocked, and I can imagine him just thinking to himself, where the fuck was I for that?
We won't know because we weren't there last week, Blake.
Like, I just sort of thought to myself, like, is he forgotten that happened on his show? But yeah, so then when he's passing this microphone around, he has to pass it to like the barber, and the barber, the sound's really shocking because he's kind of leaning half in, half out, and he's kind of like pacing a little bit as well, and it's a really, really strange way of doing an interview. But he does realise what I said about him 2 weeks ago, that being as he's got a metal head, he's got an advantage. Because he's like, oh yeah, they smashed me with a briefcase, but basically in no certain terms, but it didn't hurt, basically. Like, it's so loud my ears are ringing, but he realised I've got a titanium nose or something, and he's like, oh, I'd be fine. So he's got an advantage, he's got a metal head.
But he looks so bad. In the injury at least. So it must have done some damage.
Looks like someone's drowned him in a swamp and they found him later. Just the colour of the bruises and stuff is just really green and kind of.
He looks like the ghost of Victorian child.
Oh, we've got to mention a ghost of Victorian child that's also dressed like Hulk Hogan.
Oh my god, yeah, he looks like he's in like a knockoff bird costume or something. Like he's got feathers made out of paper.
Like, going off the cult theme, he comes out dressed like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he's all red and yellow.
And they, between the two, and then they propose teaming up. So Hulk's come back to take on IRS and Ted DiBiase, and he's like, we'll do it single, we'll do it in a tag team, brother. And he's like, we're going to team up and we're going to be the Mega Maniacs. And he's like, we want to introduce. And he's like, we're going to start stripping their assets. We want to introduce our new manager, Jimmy Hart. And I was so excited because I wanted to see Jimmy Hart come out dressed as Hulk Hogan.
But he doesn't, unfortunately.
No, he comes out and he's coming out to Real American. So we've heard Real American 3 times now. As much as I love the track, like, to pieces, but it is a bit grating. Jimmy Hart comes out, their new manager. He isn't dressed like Hulk Hogan, and he's wearing a hideous graffiti suit.
Yeah, no, it's not pretty, is it?
It's what I expect to see in like one of the background walls of like Mighty Ducks 2 or something when they're on the new ice hockey players.
Yeah, just looking for some ruffians on the streets.
So they do a bit of chit-chatting, and Brutus the Barber Beefcake says, I want to thank 2 people. I want to thank God and then thank Jimmy Hart. And Jimmy Hart comes out and he's like, I want to thank 2 people. I want to thank God and I want to thank Hulk Hogan and Barber and everyone for taking me on. And he's like, we're going to take on Ted DiBiase. And he says, through this microphone in the last 8 years, I've done some good things. And that's why I noticed his graffiti microphone has lips painted on the bit that you speak into.
Yeah, it's unsettling.
It's kind of like he's almost like, whenever he's speaking into it, he's French kissing the microphone to me now. And then they just all celebrate. Like, Jimmy Hart is great on the microphone. Like, he really owns that mouth from the south. It's really, really, really good, the promo he does. The Hulk one kind of drags on. And I said to you at one point, it was like Hulk like lost his place because he just looked really lost at one point. He was like looking at his feet like,
He's still like embarrassed about the whole briefcake thing.
He does get a bit mouth, but it's all right. It's okay.
And Jimmy promises that he will take his vitamins so we can all rest easy knowing that.
Yeah, which is grand. So then we go to a WrestleMania ad while they're all celebrating. And then we come.
Yeah, they celebrate for a long time.
Then we come back, and they're celebrating. Then we go to another ad, and then we come back, and then we're told it's Undertaker versus Skinner with like 2 minutes left of the episode.
Yeah, because Blake and I were looking at each other like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is just going to be like a squash match or something. Like, Undertaker's going to come in, and he's just going to absolutely wreck Skinner's shit. Because he did that was it the first episode we did that had Undertaker?
Yeah, when he was fighting Damien Demento.
Yes, yeah, and he just like destroyed him right quick.
So we were like, okay, it is possible to probably do an Undertaker match. And the thing to keep in mind as well, remember that we had a bit of a technical malfunction. So we know the timestamps a bit more than we normally do. And when that segment started, Hulk Hogan segment, it probably would have been about 28, 29 minutes through, maybe even 25, 26.
Yeah,
then,
so that lasted for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, when it finished, it was like 42 minutes of the episode. So like we had 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I don't know. I think maybe like Brutus and Hulk Hogan went to the same promo school, because we had this problem with Brutus the Barber Beefcake where he just went on for 15 minutes.
Yeah, where it starts off as a great story, but you go on and on and on, and you start to lose the crowd.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, we get introduced to the Undertaker. He starts coming out, and then we cut to another ad break. Like as soon as he gets into the ring,
it's a fucking shambles. Because when we come back, we're midway through a wrestling match.
Yeah.
And the Undertaker's doing a move. Skinner does a move. Undertaker's laying on the floor. Skinner kind of like rubs his ear, like he's kind of like he's been hit for real in the ear, or something. And then the Undertaker gets thrown to the outside, and Skinner like
scary fall because he like goes head first into the barrier.
Oh man! And then Skinner like takes his tie off or something, and he looks kind of like Walker Texas Ranger, if you can imagine that. Like he does. He looks like a mountain man, you know. And then he starts choking the Undertaker, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll have to tell you what happened next week because we've run out of time," and it just goes off the air.
Yeah, it just says, "Right, fuck off. You've had your lot."
That's it. But no, the thing is like, as they're going off the air, they're like, we'll tell you what happened next week. Next week, we've got a world championship match between Bret Hart and one of the head triggers. That's on next week. Goodbye, everybody. We'll tell you what happened next week. And I'm like, what's the head trigger? Who's...
Who was Skinner? This is the first I've ever heard of him.
First and last, I imagine, because you know that's not going to get blamed on The Undertaker. So what do we think happened?
Skinner dies.
No, I mean, like what happened? Why was it just such a fucking weird ending?
I can only assume that the Hulk Hogan promo went over by like 5 or 10 minutes longer than it should have done. I mean, because I can imagine the Undertaker match being like 5 minutes long.
Oh yeah.
Because like Undertaker, like at least the matches we've seen of him so far in Raw, they don't go on for a long time, but they are impressive what you see. So it probably was just intended to be like a 5-minute match, something impressive to close it off with. You know, Undertaker gets beaten up a little bit, but then he comes back and absolutely ruins Skinner's shit.
Yeah.
And then, then cut. But obviously, as I was saying to you while we were watching it, I can only imagine that while Hulk Hogan is on screen, the production manager or the director or something said, we cannot have ad breaks while Hulk Hogan is here. That is why people are watching us this week. So they had like 3 ads left to get off. And so they had to quickly rattle it through in the last 5 minutes. So you have one like during the Hulk Hogan celebration while he's still on stage. Then you have one while just before Undertaker comes onto the ring. And then you have one while he's in the ring, and then just end episode.
I think the thing is, because when it comes back from the ad and they're all in the ring, Real American's still playing. It must have looped because it's on the Every Man, that high pitched bit where it fades out. And yeah, I know because I love that song. It's about 3 or 4 minutes long, that song. So if it's on a loop, we're now 8 minutes into the thing, like him being in the ring. Either 4 minutes or 8 minutes. I'm more by 8 minutes. This is sheer conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat time. But because like there's no way can't believe Blake's trying to tell me he can remember the exact second of where the Everyman's come in on Real American. What is he talking about? And he's doing.
I trust you.
Oh, thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that, man.
I know you know Real American more than any other man.
He's doing like the whole kind of cup in his ear, and he's going to the 4 ring ropes, the 4 corners of the ring, and he keeps teasing the T-shirt rip-off, but the crowd aren't whipped up enough for him, apparently. So he's just going back and forth for about like 30, 45 seconds, just more of that. So like I say, I can only imagine you're right. It's the case of we cannot cut away from the money man, Hulk Hogan. And that's why that whole... And the thing is, the segment, it's quite speedy, but I think when you get Hulk Hogan going, maybe it's like, oh, just one more thing I'm going to put in. Like, when I'm saying this, he's already thinking 3 lines ahead, or I'm going to say this as well about that. Then I'm going to also say this. And then, obviously, Beefcake has got to get to the ring. And then so's Jimmy Hart. And they've all got to have their words and their things. But something had to have gone wrong, because I can't imagine why you would have cut a TV show like that and missed the end of the match. Unless, this happened in AEW before. So in AEW, I think probably the third or fourth week, there was a Jon Moxley match, and he's their big star, and it was TV time remaining, and it went off the air before the match was finished. And then when it came back on next week, it was obviously like a bit they were doing, because they were like, oh, okay, because it went off air, the result of Jon Moxley winning doesn't count. Technically, it was a draw because TV time had finished. So technically, that's when the match was over. So you know that bit, that's a story. So unless they come back and they're like, no, Skinner's like his win didn't count because we were on TV time remaining, and Undertaker's like, rest in peace, and then like it's the least known streak match of all time. Like they're going to fight at WrestleMania, Undertaker versus Skinner, or whatever. Then I can't see it. It's inexcusable. I can't see a reason for this. And then like the bit with the head triggers and Bret Hart at the end is like really, really quick. It's like, oh, by the way. Don't forget, we've also got...
Please, come back next week.
Yeah. Okay, and that was February 22nd, 1993, Monday Night Raw. Good bits, bad bits. Nathan, what did you think?
This was definitely one of the stranger episodes, not in necessarily terms of content, but just in the way it was directed and produced, because it had some really strong matches that either were a bit too short or went on a bit too long. There wasn't really any middle ground where you had like a good, perfect length of a match. Good bits, I'd say pretty much all the matches were entertaining in their own right. Bad bits, the pacing was definitely very strange. Because like the entire thing was building up to, we're going to speak to Hulk Hogan. It's not even a fucking match. They're just happy to have Hulk Hogan back on the camera and on the old squared circle again. If I was to pick a match that I thought was my favourite, I'm honestly kind of torn between the first one, the Bam Bam Bigelow versus Scott Taylor, and the six-way Nasty Boy Beverly Brothers Shawn Michaels Tatanka match. Like, I do like both of those matches, but I'm probably going to lean more towards the Tatanka and Shawn Michaels, just because Tatanka was an absolute joy to watch, and watching Shawn Michaels play the one who is being attacked and the one who is being completely demolished was impressive to see. It did drag a lot during the middle, but it was an entertaining match throughout the entire thing. Negatives, Hulk Hogan. I do not like him. I don't think he's a particularly good wrestler. I think he's a good crowd pleaser, but that's pretty much all he's good for, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, Blake, what about you? What were your good points, bad points, best bits, worst bits?
So, good bits. All the matches were of a certain quality where nothing stood out as like, oh my God, do you remember that fucking shit match we had to sit through? Like, the general quality of the in-ring action every week is on the increase. I don't know whether that's me and you getting more used to the style, or if it's a case of the style is now evolving to where we know it a bit more now, with people like Shawn Michaels and Tatanka, who are kind of smaller, quicker, punchier guys. Like, they've got more dynamism and more fire to them. Other good points, I'm going to say now my favourite match of the night was the six-man tag. I'm with you. It did kind of drag in the middle, and there was a few times where I was like, oh, okay, we're repeating that spot again.
Yeah.
But all in all, Tatanka is probably developing into, so far from what I've seen on Monday Night Raw, going and Raw the show, is probably like my favourite part of the show. Like, he's my favourite wrestler at the moment in this era on this program. So Tatanka, he's probably going to be my favourite bit. The fact that he's undefeated, and we're probably heading towards him and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 9 for the Intercontinental strap. I'm excited. I can't wait for it.
I'm looking forward to that. Any more Tatanka is good in my books.
And the other good points, I guess, the commentary was all right this evening.
Yes, it was. It was again, like, the general quality of most things is starting to increase.
Yeah, it's getting a lot slicker, a lot more professional. They kind of tend to know where they are all the time and where they're aiming for and what they're doing next. Rather than the first couple of weeks was very much like, oh shit, were they supposed to see that? Oh shit, what do we do now? Like, it was a bit stoppy-starting. Bad points, just the general, like you say, overall pacing. Hogan getting 2 spots.
Yeah.
I
can imagine this was like at the height of Hulkamania, but it was too much Hulk Hogan for my liking.
Like, there was no real sort of standout, shocking moments of like, oh wow. It was just kind of good action, good strong action. I mean, to go to your point about Hulk Hogan, I think as a wrestler, as an actual physical, technical wrestler, he is very much stuck in the 80s. He kind of reached the pinnacle then, and he's not going to change. He's not going to stop doing the leg drop, because why would he? Do you know what I mean?
That's what people love him for.
Yeah, he's not going to improve. But you're quite right. You exactly hit the nail on the head. He is a great figurehead for your company. He's a great face to put on, like, WWF and then a picture of him in the background, because he just is the prototypical wrestler. When you ask a random person to think, what's a wrestler in 1993, they'll go, they're big, they're loud, they're strong, they're fast, they're American, do you know what I mean? Everything Hulk Hogan is. He's managed to turn himself basically into a living icon, if you get what I mean. So he's really good in that regard of having that sort of focus and that thing to have in your company. But giving him 2 talking spots is a bit excessive, is a bit much. I get he's been away for a year, but come on, eke him out a little bit. Do one this week, do one next week.
Yeah.
Do I feel like the show suffered because he had those 2 talking spots? Yes, definitely. The Undertaker match at the end, I'm 100% convinced wouldn't have been that much of a shit show if we'd only had one Hulk Hogan bit.
Now, okay, I'm gonna lay out a conspiracy theory here for a second, and just tell me whether or not you think it might be based in anything legitimate.
Okay.
But obviously, a couple of episodes ago, we had Brutus the Barber Beefcake come back after his horrific injury, and he spent a lot of time during that interview talking about, oh, Hulk Hogan was by my side every day. He's a saint. He's such a good man. Do you think that was like a precursor to, like, let's try and make Hulk Hogan seem like a good person, take away all the negative press, just so that we can bring him back and there won't be too many people going, oh, what, the steroid boy? They're going to think, no, that's the saint who sat by Brutus the Barber Beefcake for the full, like, 3 years he was in hospital or whatever.
And didn't move.
Fed him and watered him with his own tears.
He fed him from his own teat. Just
saggy. Ugh.
I think, so basically what you're saying is, do you think that when Brutus came back, they used that as an opportunity to reset Hulk Hogan's character from where the public thought it was to where they want it?
Pretty much, yeah.
I can completely believe that's the thing. I can completely believe that that's what they did.
But because I can imagine, like, after such a horrific injury to Brutus, that he might say, I don't want to risk my, like, I don't want to risk my life in a wrestling ring anymore because I've had such a horrific injury happen to me. But maybe, like, WWF saw, well, actually, like, we can, because he and Hulk Hogan are such close friends, we could pay a lot of money to get Brutus back. He can talk up Hulk Hogan and get rid of all this, like, nasty stigma about him and the steroids.
The thing I know about Hulk Hogan is he is never, ever, ever going to appear as a surprise. Ever.
No.
He wants to be all over the billboards, all over the promo material. He wants his return to whatever he's doing to be hyped to the moon and back. And in response, his argument for that in a business sense would be, it draws money. You have Hulk Hogan on your show, you talk me up, people will know I'm coming, people want to come see me, you'll sell more tickets. He's not just going to arrive randomly. So having that kind of precursor 2 or 3 weeks ago of going Hulk Hogan and getting people thinking and talking about Hulk Hogan again, and then having him come back as like the saviour, like Brutus the Beefcake got his ass kicked by Ted DiBiase and IRS in that episode that we obviously clearly watched last week. Don't forget about. So then they can be like, okay, then we'll bring back in Hulk Hogan, who's like his older brother. So he's getting picked on. He's going to, my big brother's going to come get you. And then in comes Hulk Hogan. I mean, considering, like, I'm imagining he's off the steroids now, he still looks as good as he did.
Yeah, I imagine he kept up his physical fitness just by normal training, but he's not come back he's not come back looking like a genetic freak.
Yeah, he's not
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, Invictus, indubitably. He's not like Scott Steiner levels of strange looking. So all in all, was it better or worse than last week?
I don't know, Blake. We didn't watch it.
I was just going to bullshit and be like, I think it was on par. It was the same as last week. Just as good as last week, I'd say.
But, generally, I am happy with the direction that it's going. I would just personally like less Hulk Hogan spots. And you were saying earlier about how Hulk Hogan loves to, like, announce that he's going to be there. Like, but personally, like, say for example, when like The Rock ran in during a segment and no one knew he was going to be there during WrestleMania, I think it was, like a fair few years back. Like that, the pop that got was incredible.
Yeah,
and I think
modern age, like nowadays,
true.
Twitter and YouTube, and in itself, him doing a surprise run-in will hype up the talk and the chat of him coming back in a few weeks' time. Anyway, back in these days, if you miss this on Monday night, like, you'd probably be hard pressed to catch it again. So having that kind of Hulk Hogan's coming, he's coming back. Like,
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but
different eras, so it would have a different attitude.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think it's more impactful to have it as an actual surprise than to bang on about it. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this now. Unfortunately, I think you're going to get a lot more Hulk Hogan than you think you're going to get. Because now,
well, I mean, so long as it's not like 2 interview spots, like as long as it's not 45 minutes of Hulk Hogan like this episode was, I'm going to be all right.
Because the thing is, now they've brought him back, they're not going to use him, are they?
No, I imagine they spent a lot of money on him.
So they're going to have him on probably for the next couple of weeks quite strongly. And you know he's going to be here for WrestleMania 9 as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So we'll just have to see where it all goes. But we are well on the road to WrestleMania 9.
Yeah, we're only like a month and a half away from it now.
So that was going in Raw from February 22nd, 1993. I was but a babe at the time. I am now a man.
Yeah.
And I think the general quality of the show is improving. I'm happy with where it's going. I can't wait to see last week's. And then next
That's the thing, because like obviously we're not going to get the answer to the Undertaker versus Skinner match next week. We're going to have to get it the week after. I mean, obviously these episodes are going to come out like in correct order. But for us, like in two recordings times, when we get the answer to that, I'm going to have completely forgotten and stopped caring about Undertaker and Skinner.
Well, we'll just have to see what happens, Nathan.
Yeah, next time when we go in Raw again. We've never really established how to end these episodes. We just sort of ended them.